going to have problems dealing with that. Another uncertainty may reside on the syntactic knowledge. Okay, grammar is important. It gives us a lot of information. It gives us information about the system of the language. So if we don't know much about how that system works, then of course we're going to have problems there as well. And that's why probably we teach a lot of grammar. But grammar is not the only answer. It's not the point that we need to stress. There are others as well. And I'm now going to discuss some of these other elements. Probably you are familiar with the work by Diane Larson Freeman. And she, together with other household names in ESL and EFL, have stated that language or grammar, in a way, is not just syntax, it's not just the rules that govern the language, but we also need to look at these three dimensions, which is form, in other words, the grammar rules, the syntax that we sort of spend so much time learning in our classrooms. So it's form, it's meaning, and it's use. And these are the other elements that we need to bear in mind when we deal with listening comprehension, as well as when we deal with reading, for example. So we have semantic knowledge, and here lexis plays a key role, okay? We need to understand what the words mean. We need to understand how these words or these lexical items, not just individual words, but clusters, chunks of language, mean in a given context. And because I have used the word context, I need to sort of emphasize the third dimension, which is use or function or pragmatic knowledge. We may have a conversation where someone says, tea or coffee? And someone says, yes. Well, we know that the answer is not correct, but then we will have to negotiate meaning. So probably the person misunderstood that it was actually the choice between tea and coffee. So probably the answer would have been tea, please. But because the other person said yes, probably the speaker would have to say, yes, tea or coffee. Okay, so it means that the person, the listener in this case, misunderstood the intention of the speaker. And that's why we need to consider these three dimensions. When we don't consider them, when we don't really have the pragmatic knowledge, if we don't have the semantic knowledge and we only rely on grammar, we only have a partial interpretation of the communicative act. And something else that we need to consider, although it plays a minor role in our classrooms, is the kinesic knowledge. Is the way that we use our body, how we communicate, the way we move our hands, the way we sort of express feelings through our face, our eyes, etc. That helps a lot. It gives a lot of feedbacks. It helps a lot when you interact with someone. But in the classroom, again, if you only give students input which has been pre-recorded, they miss that. And that's why, again, listening also implies the teacher using the language for communicative purposes. Because in that way, actually, you're the only person who is communicating effectively with the students. What are the classrooms like? What is this scenario that we have in our classrooms in general when we do listening in particular? The students feel that they don't really have control over the rate of delivery. The teacher may play the tape or the CD 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, but they cannot really understand much because it does not really depend on the number of times that you play the audio material, but actually what you do with it. But again, it's one of the problems. So they feel that, you know, someone is in control, but it's never the students. Again, students are not given the opportunity to get things repeated. And playing the material again and again, it's not really the way to expose them to the material. What I'm trying to say here is that they need to get things repeated in a sort of a natural context. And here we go into the concept of negotiation of meaning. Sometimes they get lost. They really misunderstand, or they just simply miss a lot of the information, no matter how many times you play it, because they have a problem and they need to negotiate on that problem. Maybe they need to negotiate on a given word that they don't know. So no matter how many times they listen to it, if they don't have the background knowledge to decode it meaningfully, then it's a waste of time at the end, and it creates frustration on the part of the students as well as on the part of the teachers. And probably you know this experience better than I do in a way. Another problem that we face in the classroom is that sometimes we have established learning habits. Students are used to doing things in a given way, and they are very reluctant to do it otherwise. And the same for teachers. We feel that we've done something, over a number of years, and it works, and we just stick to that. That is good, but then we need to know for sure that the results that we think we're guessing are the right ones, okay? So again, it's challenging the students, is motivating students to do things in a different way. And perhaps that's why it becomes so frustrating when you speak English to them and they complain and they say, don't use English, use Spanish, etc. But again, it's what we can do to promote a challenge there. Another problem, in a way, that students face, again, which is related to the number 1 and the number 2 points I have stressed here, is the role of overhearers. It's like you now, you're listening to me, but you cannot interact with me. So you cannot say, excuse me, what do you mean by, or can you give me an example about this? It's just what I'm saying. So you don't really have that opportunity, and students feel the same way. How can we make listening interactive in the classroom? Can we do, for example, jigsaw listening activities? Probably the first thought is no, but then we're going to see that perhaps there is a way, and I'm going to sort of propose one for you. And again, very similar to what I have said, it's like the lack of interaction, okay? We have no negotiation for meaning, in the sense that we cannot really, ask for requests or clarification requests or confirmation checks or comprehension checks. We just listen, and it's pretty much up to the individual to figure out, what the listening is about or what the task is about. And this is the last element here, and this is somehow the key elements that I would like to stress from this point onwards. And it's the affective dimension of listening, okay? What makes students feel reluctant about it, okay? Why are they not happy about it? Can we do something here to boost, to foster this affective dimension? Okay, so far we have covered, the question of listening comprehension or listening complication. And basically, lots of problems. Okay, now let's try to see what some of the solutions might be for the classroom, for our teaching and our students' learning. We're going to move to the next topic, which is models of the listening process. And here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with these concepts, since they probably were part of your initial teacher education programs, okay? They have been, part of our training for quite a number of years now. The bottom-up model, the top-down model, and now with the sort of a stronger emphasis, the interactive model. Bottom-up is mainly decoding, and this is what our students do when they listen and when they read. If they don't really apply the right strategies, They think that listening is understanding every word, is understanding the